So that's when my labor experience technically started. So after that, it was a series of, mandatory, mandatory appointments with my midwives. I was seeing two of them because, weren't sure which one would be on call whenever it was time for me to deliver. So I had to start seeing them every single week. One week I had to see them twice, and really they just continued to check on me and everything to make sure I was good. I was taking the Bacardia, I was taking a muscle relaxer and Tylenol. With taking all of that, I still would be having contractions, and so much to the point where I would have to go to the hospital because I would call my midwife, one of the midwives, and they would tell me to just go ahead to the hospital because they were very similar to what I had experienced before, coming in waves and being to the point where I could time them. So we weren't really sure like when exactly she was gonna come. Like we weren't sure. It was really like a waiting game for 5 weeks. For 5 weeks, it was a waiting game. We went to the hospital so many times, several times. We went to the hospital several times, just just trying to figure it out. And eventually they would stop. The contractions would start and then they would stop. And so I was just in pain for 5 weeks, not really being able to do anything. And it really just got to the point where I was just tired. I was, one, being this late in pregnancy or that late in pregnancy, you're tired. You're just naturally tired. That's what happens. But I was honestly tired of hurting. Like I was in serious pain. So it got to be a lot. But I tried to, I tried to keep a positive mindset. I just kept thinking like it'll all be worth it. It'll be worth it. So no worries. I just got to keep trusting God. And I just got to believe that whenever she is supposed to be here, she will be here. And not a day sooner, not a day later. And everything will work out. So that's what I would just tell myself every single day, to keep going. So fast forward to 37 weeks. I was 37 weeks in a day. So I turned 37 weeks last Friday, and it was on Saturday after I got my hair cut. As you probably seen in my previous video, I got a haircut last Saturday, and I got it during the day, and that night I started feeling a sharp pain in my right side. And so I was like, I don't know what this is. I don't know what's going on, but let me call a midwife just to be sure. I was tired of going back and forth to the hospital, so I'm like, I don't want to, have to go if it's going to be another false alarm, but I also don't want to take a chance. So I called her, and she was like, she told me to lay down with a hot compress for 30 minutes, and if the pain hadn't subsided in 30 minutes, call her back and we would probably be going to the hospital. So I waited that amount of time, and honestly, I didn't even make it to that time. I started contracting, and it was more intense than I had ever felt. So I was like, yeah, it's time to go. It is time to go. So we went to the hospital and they checked me, and I had in fact been 5 centimeters at that point. So I was progressing, and so they watched me for a little while. They monitored me and the baby for a little while, monitored my contractions, monitored her movement and her heartbeat and everything. And mind you, throughout this whole thing, she had been perfectly fine. Like literally throughout all these weeks that I had been in pain and stuff, she was fine at every appointment, at every hospital visit. She was good, she was fine. So that was another thing that kept me going, because I'm like, as long as she's good, I'll deal with the pain. Like it's whatever. So yeah, I had already progressed to 5 centimeters dilated. They were monitoring the both of us, and after about an hour and a half, 2 hours, they came back, checked me again. I was 6 centimeters. So they were like, my midwife was like, I'm admitting you, you're in labor, you're gonna have a baby tonight or in the morning, sometime soon. And so I'm like, bro, this is real. Like, this is really happening right now. It it was a lot at one time, just realizing that she was really about to be here. I was really about to do this. So they admitted me, took me to labor and delivery, and at that point in time, well, before they took me to labor and delivery, let me back up. Before they took me to labor and delivery, they had me walk around a little bit to see if my water would break, because that's really all that they were waiting on. They were waiting on my water to break. But it didn't break, and I was in so much pain. I couldn't really walk anymore. I was getting weak. I was getting weak. So yeah, they took me to labor and delivery, and my midwife had told me, you can be in this pain for hours, just laying here like waiting on your water to break. We can try to get your water to break while you're contracting, but it's not looking like it's gonna break, because she could literally feel the water bag whenever she would go to check me, and it wasn't budging. Like, it was bulging, but she was like, it didn't seem like it was going anywhere. So she gave me the option. She was like, either you can lay here, you know, and suffer, or I can break your water and we can get this process going a little bit faster, a little bit sooner, and you know, you'll be holding your baby girl sooner than you think. The only thing about her breaking my water would be that the pain or the contractions were going to get more intense really, really quickly, like super fast. And they were going to be like hella intense, not gradual like it would be if my water just naturally broke. So that was the downside to that. So, you know, I was like, you know what? I felt myself getting weak. I felt myself, you know, just kind of not succumbing to the pain, but it was a lot. So I was like, let's get this over with. Let's, you know, progress through this, because I don't want it to get to a point where like she starts being in danger, as far as like her being in distress or anything like that. So I'm just like, all right, it's not what I pictured, it's not what I imagined, but this is just what we have to do. Let's do it. After we talked about that and decided that that's what we were going to do, I also realized, or they told me, that I would not be able to do my water birth. And the reason was because the time that we arrived, there were 2 patients in the 2 rooms that had tubs in them, and they weren't even using the tubs. That's the crazy part about it. But I wasn't upset. I wasn't mad. I just kept trusting that this is just the way that it was supposed to go, you know? This is how it was supposed to happen. I don't have time to question it. I'm not going to question it. I'm just going to focus on what's happening right now and what I can do right now to get my baby here as safely as possible. So it was a letdown, you know, thinking back on it. But at that point in time, I didn't really care. Like, I really didn't even have a third thought about it. I thought about it maybe once or twice, but it was like, you know what, whatever, cool. We waited for a little while longer, and my midwife came and she broke my water, and it literally felt like how it sounds. She went in there and did it, and water just gushed out. It was warm water and it felt so weird. So after about 10 minutes, that pain went from a 7 to off the charts. Off the freaking charts. It was to the point where I could not catch my breath. When those contractions were hitting, I could not catch my breath. And honestly, it wasn't even like the contractions that I would feel in my stomach. It was just this sharp pain in my vagina that I could not shake. I could not breathe through it. I was trying to do my breathing exercises and everything that I had been watching the videos on and I had been practicing. I was thinking positive thoughts. I was, doing all of that. But it got to a point where I was in so much pain. I was nauseous. Like, I felt like I had to throw up. I did not throw up, but I was definitely like gagging and trying to catch my breath, really. And I felt myself getting to a point where I was getting out of control. And that is one thing that I did not want throughout this process. Out of everything that could have gone like wrong or didn't go the way that I had planned it, I did not want to get out of control. Like, I didn't want to get to the point like that I could not think my way through this, or I could not breathe. Like, I didn't want to get into a panic, and I felt myself getting to that point. And that was a big no for me. So I had a decision to make. My midwife had mentioned the epidural once or twice, but she didn't push it on me. We discussed. She did not push it on me at all. She was like, I'm down for whatever you're down for. You just let me know, because I just don't want you to I don't want you to suffer, And it was getting to that point, like, I was suffering. I could not get right. I couldn't catch my breath or anything. So, I thought about it for a little second and I was like, you know what? I gotta get it. I have to. So I ended up getting the epidural. They came in, the team that does the injection and everything, they came in, the doctor and her assistants, they explained everything to me. And the nurse, one of the nurses that was in there, she came and stood in front of me while they were, putting it in my back. And I didn't know that nurse. I had never seen that nurse a day in my life. But when I tell y'all, I held on to her so tight because I understood, like, it was so important for me to stand still. And plus, I didn't know how it was going to feel. I didn't know exactly what to expect as far as, like, the sensation. So I did not want to, like, jump whenever I felt it. So, yeah, I held on to her so tight. Like, I was grabbing her uniform so tight. And it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad, definitely not compared to the pain that I had going on anyway. It wasn't bad at all. And it was over super quick. And a few minutes later, I started going numb. I couldn't feel anything from my my mid lower back to like about my knees, like right under my knees. My calves and ankles and stuff were a little numb, but I could still like move them. But everything else was like, couldn't feel it. It just felt like extra meat that I could not feel, that was not attached to me. So yeah, my midwife was like, get some rest, try to take a little nap, get some energy, because she could see that I was losing energy. I was getting worn out from, just the process going on for so long and me already being tired from being in pain for weeks or whatever. She was just like, try to get some rest before we actually do this, before it's time for you to push. So I slept for probably about 20-30 minutes, if that. And really it wasn't even sleep. I was just trying to like rest as much as I could. And I started feeling the need to push. Like, I literally felt like I had to poop. And I called the nurse in there, told her, I was like, I feel like I have to push. And so she was like, okay, we're gonna wait for the midwife. She came in and she checked me and she was like, yeah, it's time to go. You're 10 centimeters dilated. It's time to go. Her head is right there. I didn't even have to put my finger all the way in there. Her head is right there. It's time to go. So it was go time. They put my feet up in the stirrups because of course I couldn't do any other positioning that I would have wanted to do. So they put my feet up in the stirrups. Her daddy had one of my legs, one of the nurses had my other leg, and yeah, I couldn't feel the contractions coming, but I could feel the pressure the need to push, like whenever it was time for me to push. And also the midwife and the nurse, they would tell me whenever a contraction was coming so I can like prepare myself. And I was glad that I could still feel the pressure, you know, because it would have been hard. It would have been really, really hard if I was just going off of them just telling me when to push, because like I had to mentally prepare myself for that. So yeah, whenever one would be building up, whenever a contraction would be building up, it would be like, take a deep breath and push for 10 seconds. And that's what I did. And I pushed. And it's like you had to do it 4 times in a row. So it was like, take a deep breath, push for 10 seconds, take another deep breath, push for 10 seconds, do it 2 more times, and then wait for the next contraction. Y'all, I was so dizzy. I ended up being so dizzy and just tired. I remember saying, I'm so tired. I'm tired. Like I wanted to just like tap out, but I was like, I can't. I gotta keep going. And they were just so encouraging. They was like, Alicia, you got this. It's like, you got this. Just keep pushing. Like, we can see your hair. Like, you know, trying to be so encouraging. Everybody was so encouraging. And that was definitely something that, you know, helped me to keep going, because I was just so hot and tired and I couldn't, man. So like I said, I felt the pressure and also the pain. Like I could feel the pain of her coming out. Like I definitely felt that. But you know, I wasn't mad at that. It was completely fine. So eventually I could feel her head like crowning. And it got to that point of, I guess, the ring of fire is what they call it, when it was like that burning sensation. And my midwife, Brittany, she was like, you almost there. Like, please, just go one more time. Just go one more time. Like, oh my God, I can feel her. So I pushed and her little head came out. And right after her head came out, you know, the rest of her body, like, they pulled her on out. And before I knew it, they were like, open your eyes. And I opened them and she was looking at me. Well, she wasn't looking at me, but her face was to my face, and they laid her on my chest, and all I could do was thank God. Like, all I could do was thank God. I couldn't believe after 8+ months of, it's okay, mama. She about ready to eat. But I couldn't believe after like 8+ months of growing a person inside of me, I was meeting her for the first time. It was like meeting a stranger that I already knew. That's the best way I can describe it. And it was the most, man, I don't want to get emotional, but whew. I actually didn't cry then. But I feel myself about to cry now, just thinking about it. Man. She is such a blessing. Like, I never could imagine that I would feel this way about somebody. I just want to love her and protect her with everything that I have in me. Yeah, it's the most beautiful thing that I have ever felt in my life. Just seeing her and holding her and seeing her fingers and her little hands and feet, you know, just knowing that, wow, like, she's mine. I pushed her out. I carried her for 9 months. I mean, 8+ months, 37 weeks, whatever. And yeah, she's mine. And I'm just so grateful to God that he protected us throughout this whole thing. It wasn't easy. Everything wasn't perfect, including, you know, the whole delivery plan. I made a whole video about how I wanted my delivery to go. Literally a lot of things did not happen on that list. But I would not trade that experience for the world. Like, I wouldn't. I couldn't imagine it going any other way. I couldn't. And I've never felt this much joy. I've never felt this much peace. I've never felt this much sense of purpose and a need to keep going, a need to keep pushing, a need to keep growing, a need to keep perfecting myself and being the best person that I can be. I have no choice. I have no choice. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for everything that she's brought me, and she's only been here 4 days, and I'm just so grateful. If I could chalk it up, I'm grateful. So yeah, she is the sunshine of my life. No Stevie Wonder, but yeah, she's definitely everything that I could have imagined and even more. So yeah, we stayed in the hospital for about 3 days. So we got out the hospital on Tuesday. Tuesday. And I had her on Sunday morning at 10:40 a.m. And we got out the hospital on Tuesday, and I didn't tear. I was good afterwards. Like, I'm in pain, as far as, feeling like I just pushed a human out of my body. So I'm sore, and, I'm still bleeding and everything. And breastfeeding has been interesting, but we're doing pretty good. We're doing okay. I'll make another video talking about that process and what I'm learning and everything with that. Excuse you, she just burped. But yeah, I have no complaints. I'm just grateful. I'm really grateful, and I'm really grateful for you guys coming along with me on this journey. It's crazy. I remember the first video that I made announcing that I was even pregnant, and that was after about 5-6 months of being pregnant, but it just seems so long ago. But I really appreciate you guys for going on this journey with us, and it's gonna be more to come because she's here now, so it's a party. It's a party, and it's her party. I'm just attending. I'm just here to make this the best party ever. Ever. So yeah, that's pretty much it for as far as my labor and delivery experience. Like I said, literally nothing went as planned, but that's life. That's literally life. Either you gonna cry about it or you gonna keep it pushing. Literally, I had to keep it pushing. So whenever things don't go as planned or something different happens that you didn't expect, take a deep breath, think, and just know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. Know that it'll be worth it, and know that you are prepared. Whether you feel like it or not, you're prepared. You can do this no matter what that thing may be in your life. You can do this, and you just gotta trust God, and you just gotta believe in yourself that it's all gonna work out. So thank you guys for watching. I know this video was really long. Like I said, I don't know if I'm gonna do like a part 1, part 2 with the whole pre-labor story or not, but if not, I know this video is super long. Either way, it's probably gonna be long, but thank you for watching. I appreciate you guys so much, and stay tuned because like I said, we're just getting started. So I love you guys, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye.